What is up, everybody? Matt Moda here to give you some bangers. We're talking Thursday night football. We got the Bucs versus the Falcons. I'm going to have two players that we are backing for Thursday night football. One player that we're backing for a full unit and also laddering, and then just one regular player prop that I'm actually only putting a half unit on that bad boy. But we got Thursday night football player props. That's what we're talking about in this video. Before we get into that, of course, we have to do a recap of how week 4 went, which ended up being just an incredible weekend, specifically for player props. The underdogs, I went 0-2. Not a great week there. Early bets went 0-1. Not a great week there. Player props made everything okay. We just had an absolutely incredible week with our player props. We were profitable Thursday. We were profitable Sunday. We were profitable Monday. We climbed some ladders, especially with Jackson Smith and Jigba on Monday night. That was absolutely electric. Ended up having a really, really good week 4. As for the entire season, it's kind of the same thing as week 4. The player props, amazing. We had a really bad cold streak in weeks 2 and 3. We had an amazing weeks 1 and 4, so we're profitable, pretty decently profitable on the year, up just below that 10 unit mark. We're a little bit in the red on both our underdogs and our early bets, to be honest with you. It was kind of the same thing last year. Main lines, I'm just not able to have as much success as player props, so once the NBA season starts, I might just stick to player props in both, but we'll kind of see how it goes. I got an early video out if you guys already watched that. If not, check that out. But that's what we're working with, right? Player props is really what I'm best at. So that's what I'm talking about in this video, player props for Thursday night football tomorrow. And like I said, I got two players that I'm backing. The first one is Bijan Robinson over 24.5 receiving yards. I'm only putting a half unit on this bad boy. I'm more confident in the second play that we have. So I didn't want to just have one unit on each because I'm more confident in the second one. With that said, I do really like the Bijan Robinson receiving yards angle. I do think that it's a pretty good play for Thursday night football. Now, I admit I normally in situations like this, I won't take the mainline odds at minus money. I'll pump them up to get plus odds. I recorded this at 24.5 at minus 110 odds was the last price that the last price that I saw that I sent it out to my dub club. 30 plus was only priced at plus 115. So it really wasn't worth it, in my opinion, to take it at the plus money, right? Like going from 25 to 30 yards, that's a pretty big deal because of how low the yardage total is, right? Like 25 to 30 is a way bigger deal than 75 to 80. So that's why I decided to go the safer route and just take it at the minus 110 odds as opposed to pumping it up. And I understand that these odds change and that by the time you're watching this, you might not be able to get the 24.5 number. I would take this up to 26.5 for the half unit, or just take it at 30 plus for plus money. But anything you can get for minus 110 odds up to 26.5, I would take. If you can't get that, then I would just take 30 plus for plus money. In terms of the play itself, there are a lot of reasons to believe why Bijan Robinson could have a good game in the receiving angle, right? Number one, the matchup. Bucs have running backs against Bucs, I should say, have a lot of success specifically through the air. Part of the reason for that is running backs aren't able to have a lot of success on the ground against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have a very stout run defense. Now, if you look at their season-long stats, it's not going to reflect that, but they have a defensive tackle, Vita Vea, who's very integral to their run defense. And Vita Vea missed week 3. He got injured in week 2, so the stats are a little bit wonky. We're only 4 weeks into it. But with him in the lineup, their run defense is very stout. Last year, allowed the 8th lowest yards per carry with the 8th best rush defense, according to DVOA as well. And he missed some time last year as well. If you just isolate it to games in which Vita Vea plays, night and day difference for their run defense. Alternatively, running backs have been able to do damage against the Bucs, specifically through the air. The same 4-game stretch this season, running backs have averaged the second most both yards and receptions against this Bucs defense. Running backs are averaging 6.5 receptions for 60.8 yards, again, through the air. We're just looking for Bijan Robinson to get to 25, and running backs are averaging about 60 against this Bucs defense. Now, I'm going to talk about this next point in way more detail with our second play, but the Bucs do play zone defense at the highest rate in the NFL, literally number 1 in terms of zone defense, and Bijan is 3rd on the Falcons in yards per route run against zone coverage. He does a pretty good job against zone. Basically, when teams go zone, they dump the ball down to Bijan Robinson, and he's electric in open space. He makes some guys miss. He gets some yards. So, talking about his yards, this is a number that Bijan Robinson has hit in 3 of 4 games so far. Admittedly, I like to fade that type of win percentage, I just think these odds are priced too low at the 24.5 number, or if you can get it 25.5, 26.5, whatever it may be, I still think it's going to be priced too low. As long as you're getting the 30 plus or plus money and anything below that for minus 110, I think that's good to go. And what's nice about backing Bijan Robinson is he gets consistent targets out of the backfield. And he does a pretty good job getting yards after catch, getting yak on those targets. That's why the receiving props have been good to Bijan Robinson, right? He's fourth on the team in total targets and target percentage, squarely in fourth, right? They're top 3 receivers, and then it's Bijan Robinson. But because all his throws are out of the backfield, he has an absurdly high catch percentage of 93.8%, literally catches over 90% of his passes. So because of that, he's got the 4th most targets, but he has the 2nd most receptions. He's got the 3rd highest yards per route run on the team, the 3rd most yards per target as well, which is all really to say that he does a good job getting yards with those targets that he gets. It's because he leads the Falcons in yak, yards after catch. He's the best on the team at that because they like to get him the ball in space. And then the last point I'll make here is that he leads the team in designed targets as well. He has 7 designed targets. The next closest players on the Falcons are 2 receivers tied with 4 each. Designed targets mean the play is literally designed to go to this player, in this case, Bijan Robinson. First read targets are different. First read is like, okay, he's there, he's not open, then I'm going here. Design targets are like, no, we designed this entire play to get the ball to this player, not necessarily going through reads. Again, Bijan Robinson has 7. Next closest player on the Falcons, there are 2 tied with 4. So this hits the trifecta. It's too low of a number. It's he gets consistent work through the air, and it's a very good matchup against the Bucs. Hits all 3. Bijan Robinson, absolutely worth a half unit play on his receiving yardage prop. But my favorite play of the day, number 1, we're talking Ray McCloud props, my friends. Ray McCloud, a nasty boy. I'm taking him over 33.5 receiving yards for 1 unit, minus 110, minus 110 odds at bet 365. I'm also taking him to get to 50 plus yards for plus 225 odds, also at bet 365. And that last number is also at DraftKings. Before I get into the analysis, while you're here, would appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button, like the video, comment, all that stuff. Got to do the 3 things, like, comment, and subscribe. All that stuff helps me out a ton. So I'd appreciate it if you could do that. But talking about Ray McCloud, now, it took a while for books to post odds for him. He's been limited at practice with an ankle injury. I think he's going to play. We're getting odds for him. The books think he's going to play. And I absolutely love this matchup for Ray McCloud. It's kind of wild how involved he has been for the Falcons, and that's continued game over game. You know, it happened in week 1. I thought, that's going to be an outlier. That's not going to be the case. No, it's been consistent, his involvement with the Falcons. And based on the type of defense that the Bucs play, it should be a very, very good matchup for Ray McCloud as well, which we're going to get into. Now, I talked about Bijan Robinson is squarely 4th in terms of target share on the Falcons. Ray McCloud is squarely in 3rd in terms of target share on the Falcons, and that's not something that's going to change. They don't use Kyle Pitts at all. It's number 1, Drake London, number 2, Darnell Mooney, number 3, Ray McCloud. He's essentially the 3rd receiver on the Falcons, as I mentioned, and he's 3rd in the following categories. So everything I'm about to say, he's 3rd on the Falcons. Routes run, route participation, target rate, first read targets, he's 3rd in all of those metrics. But with that said, he's 2nd on the team with 15 receptions, tied with Bijan Robinson and Darnell Mooney with 15 receptions, with Drake London at number 1. The reason why his receptions are tied with tied with Darnell Mooney, despite he gets fewer targets, is because he has a very high catch rate as well. You take out the 2 running backs, Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson, McCloud has the highest catch rate on the Falcons of all tight ends and wide receivers. He's 3rd if you include the 2 running backs. He's also tied with Darnell Mooney in 2nd with 4 designed targets. So I mentioned Bijan Robinson was number 1 with 7. I mentioned he was tied with 2 receivers, tied with Darnell Mooney and Ray McCloud for the 2nd most. They have 4 each. Again, Robinson leads the category with 7. They each have 4. I get that I just showed you a lot. I told you a lot of stats, not showed you. I told you a lot of stats about how involved he is. Let's just talk about raw numbers. 52 yards in week 1, cash the mainline play, cash the ladder. 42 yards in week 2. Cash the mainline play, not the ladder. Week 3 was his only bad week of the year. He only had 17 yards on 3 targets. Last week, week 4, 52 receiving yards, cashed both the mainline play and the ladder on another 7 targets. And you want to look at the targets through these 4 games. 7 in week 1, 5 in week 2, 3 in week 3, and then another 7 in week 4. Consistent targets getting him the ball in space, similar to Bijan, with a high catch rate, and he's incredibly fast. Ray McCloud's like a shifty guy. He came over from Pittsburgh. They get him the ball in space, and they let him work. Now, in terms of the matchup, I mentioned, the reason why this is such a good matchup is because he is the zone beater for the Falcons. And I mentioned the Bucs play zone at the highest rate in the NFL, 84.4% of the time. The Bucs play zone. They also play cover 3 at the third highest rate in the NFL at 45.5%. So it's those two things, zone and cover 3. Ray McCloud has the highest yards per route run on the Falcons by far against zone coverage. When they play zone, they design targets specifically for Ray McCloud. His yards per route run is 2.26 against zone. Again, by far the highest on the Falcons. He also has the best separation score and the best win rate against cover 3. This is all per fantasy points. So I think he's going to blow his props out of the water, hit us with the 50 yards mark, cashing out our mainline play and the ladder. And that is all we got. So 2 bangers for you guys to lock in, 2 players that we're locking in, 1 that we are laddering. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And then the last thing that I will mention is that I do have a Dub Club where I send all my plays out. $5 a month gets everything I'm playing sent directly to your phone via text, email, or Telegram. So if you want to lock in the plays before the odds change, the first thing I do is send it out to Dub Club. If you don't always have time to watch the YouTube videos, but you still want to tail, another reason to check out the Dub Club. Again, $5 a month. If you're not interested in that, no problem. You can still get everything for free on YouTube and on Twitter. So follow me there at Jedi Modai. And that is all we got. I appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.